Hello everyone and welcome to the final Tempo Storm Wild Meta Snapshot Breakdown for the Descent of Dragons meta. Even though this expansion cycle is coming to a close, Wild is seeing a massive shakeup thanks to a handful of changes in the weeks leading up to the Year of the Phoenix. First, the Ashes of Outland set reveal included the release of a new free legendary, Kael'thas Sunstrider, whose power in Wild is positively game-warping, especially in the hands of Druid. At the same time, a number of previously nerfed Wild cards had their nerfs reverted, and two of those cards are having a massive impact. The reversion of Raza the Chained has single-handedly revived Reno Priest, and the reversion of Yogg-Saron is bringing Yogg back to relevance as a late-game swing tool for spell-heavy decks like Jade Druid. Put all these changes together, and we're seeing a significant shift in the top tiers at a time when the format is normally stagnant. Just what does it mean for the direction of Wild? Come join our experts as we take a closer look at the format's latest developments. As always, be sure to subscribe to the Tempo Storm Hearthstone YouTube channel and ring the bell to stay up to date with our Hearthstone content. Now let's get started. Mage has had a stranglehold on Wild's Tier 1 for months, and even through all the shakeups the format's seeing right now, the Quest Mage variants are still holding strong at the top of Tier 1. If anything, their position has been strengthened by the surge in Druids and Priests on ladder, since both variants do well against the new decks, while the new decks seem to dominate the decks that would normally try to keep Quest Mages in check. The Tempo variant with Flame Waker and Mana Cyclone is the current frontrunner, since it not only has stellar matchups against both Jade Druid and Reno Priest, but it also does well against the slower Reno Quest Mage and Cube Warlock. Tempo Quest Mage traditionally falls short against aggro decks like Even Shaman and Secret Mage, but with these decks losing traction, it's a better time than ever to be a Tempo Quest Mage at the end of the Year of the Dragon. The Reno variant of Quest Mage is still doing quite well too. Even though it's technically slower than the Tempo version, Reno Quest Mage still has the flexibility of the Highlander package to shore up its matchups against the aggro decks, while still having solid matchups against the Priest, Druid, and Warlock decks in Tier 1. Reno Quest Mage is probably the best choice for ladder if you're looking for reasonable odds against virtually everything except Tempo Quest Mage. Beyond Mage, Tier 1 has two completely new faces that have catapulted up the ranks due to the recent changes. For Reno Priest, Raza the Chained is effectively unchained, with its original battlecry restored to reduce your hero power's cost to 0 if your deck has no duplicates. After playing Shadow Reaper Anduin, Priest's hero power becomes a continuous source of damage, and with Spawn of Shadows in the mix, it's easy to convert the hero power into a one-turn kill. When Raza's hero power had cost 1 before the change, Reno Priest's damage output was limited, and the OTK turns had to be meticulously planned, but now that the hero power costs 0, the damage is only limited by the number of cards you can play in a turn. Altogether, this gives Priest a flexible combo win condition that rivals many of the best decks in Wild. Thanks to the power of the Highlander package, along with Priest's robust removal suite, Priest thoroughly dominates aggro, making its popularity a serious deterrent to decks like Secret Mage and even Shaman. On the other hand, it has a poor matchup against both varieties of Quest Mage, so we can't say that Priest is in a true position of dominance just yet. The release of Kael'thas Sunstrider is the other big update to Wild, and we only need 4 words to describe the impact that the card is having right now. 0 mana, ultimate infestation. Okay, we could probably use a few more words than that, but it suffices to say that Kael'thas has elevated Druid back to Tier 1 relevance. Kael'thas makes every 3rd spell you cast free, and Druid has a wide range of cheap spells that can help you gain mana, and expensive spells that you'd love to cast for free. So for decks like Jade Druid, Kael'thas is a natural fit. With Kael'thas and early mana ramp, Druid can cast Ultimate Infestation or Overflow as early as turns 3 or 4 and simply bury the opponent in card advantage. Jade's late game has also received an upgrade, with Yogg-Saron Hope's End making a comeback to help seal the deal against any deck that dares to try to go the distance against it. Like Reno Priest, Jade Druid can have a rough time against Quest Mages, but it simply dominates almost everything else, especially aggro decks like Secret Mage and Pirate Warrior that can't compete with Druid's removal and armor gain. Mage is continuing to dominate, and Priest and Druid are the new movers and shakers, but what about Warlock? Gul'dan still has a solid option in Cube Warlock, which is probably the closest thing to a control deck that's viable in Wild right now. It turns out that cheating out big demons with Voidcaller and Skull of Manari is still quite strong against aggro, and with strong disruptive options and a powerful late game, Cube maintains relatively even odds against against most decks in the top tiers. In a world of polarized matchups driven by combo decks, Warlock's greatest strength is the stability of its matchup spread, so we don't expect Cube Warlock to fall off the map anytime soon. All in all, Druids and Priests' emergence as Tier 1 contenders has completely redefined what it means to be a Tier 2 deck in Wild. With so many of the best decks being combo decks that are hard to beat without a combo win condition of your own, all of Wild's strongest aggro decks are being pushed down a tier or two. For instance, even Shaman was considered the format's best aggro deck and a Tier 1 staple largely due to its solid matchups against Quest Mages, but while the Mage matchups are still very relevant, the rise of Reno Priest and the decline in other aggro decks is a serious problem for even Shaman. Shaman's board swarming strategy simply falls hard to Priest's endless waves of removal, and with Reno Jackson in the mix, Shamans can struggle with putting together enough damage to defeat Priest before the Raza Anduin combo takes over the game. Still, even with the popularity of Priest, even Shaman is a solid option if your local meta is infested with mages, and thanks to their ability to bypass cards like Spreading Plague with Devolve, even Shaman can still go toe-to-toe with Jade Druids too. What about Secret Mage? Secret Mage has been in Tier 1 for almost a whole year, but with the rise of Jade Druid and the continued dominance of Reno Quest Mage, as well as the decline of aggro in general, Secret Mage falls to Tier 2 since its position in the new meta is far from ideal. It's still possible to climb with Secret Mage since it's a fine counter to Tempo Quest Mage, and it still does well against even Shaman, but most of the rest of Secret Mage's best matchups are becoming more and more scarce. As for Darkest Hour Warlock, it's one of the few decks that maintains its spot on the tier list because its power level is largely unaffected by the changes. Simply put, if the Darkest Hour combo resolves early enough, the resulting board is usually far too powerful for any deck to contend with. Even though Druid and Priest have relevant answers to the combo, the Jade Druid and Reno Priest matchups are close to even, and the Quest Mage matchups are solid as well, which all makes Darkest Hour a fair choice for laddering. Just be careful not to queue into any Pirate Warriors. Speaking of Pirate Warrior, even though aggro decks are on the back foot, Pirate Warrior might be able to weather the storm off just based on the strength of its Mage matchups alone. For Pirates, speed is the name of the game, and few decks go for the throat as fast as Patches and Company, making this Warrior deck a solid choice against both Tempo Quest Mage and Darkest Hour Warlock. Secret Mage and Reno Mage are solid matchups too, but if your local meta is infested with Druid and Priest, you'll have a rough time. Even with such a polarized matchup spread, Pirates are still a fine choice if you insist on following the ways of SM Orc. Altogether, the final days of the Year of the Dragon signal a big transition for Wild going into the Year of the Phoenix. With the recent increase in power level for Druid and Priest, and with the coming of Demon Hunter and Ashes of Outland on the horizon, where the Wild meta ends up will be anyone's guess. We're keeping a close eye on the format as it develops, so be sure to check out the full meta report for all the details, and as always, be sure to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell to stay up to date with our Wild Hearthstone content. Thanks for watching!